what Representative King is doing is the same thing that happened in the McCarthy era.
Yes, it's perpetuating it, yes.
But, I like what happened on 9/11 compared to what communist actions were taken in the time of McCarthy. We're looking at 3,000 people that were killed in one location based on these 19. We know for a fact that homegrown security, homegrown Muslim radicals are a reality of life. So I think it has to be a give and take, and I also would like to applaud the initiative of the Muslim community and law enforcement to bridge any gaps between the two of them to work together to solve this problem. And I think that Representative King, his timing sucks on this. And that, the president of the United States should have stepped in and say, hey, you know what? We're going to be opening up a can of worms here. The system is starting to work. Back off. But he didn't.
Mm-hmm. Right. And you hit the nail on the head, in my opinion, Rob, when you said we're too politically correct. Mm-hmm. We've gotten to the point where we don't dare express our opinions or stand up for a cause or what have you, for fear that somehow we're offending someone. Mm-hmm. And that's where critical thinking comes in. Are all Muslims violent terrorists? Of course not. There is a radical, the jihad is. Okay, well, there are radical groups within any group.
Exactly.
And we have to use our discernment and use our wisdom there and get off the witch hunt. But use wisdom. We're not thinking anymore, Rob. We seem to be sheeple. We're just going bah and following instead of standing up and thinking. It's one of the reasons, and I hope it's okay to say, I love that video you made, because you stood up and you said, this is how I feel, this is what I think, this is what I see. And, if it offends you, well, gosh, I'm sorry. That was not my intent. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The people that come to you for your clairvoyant abilities, have you been able to see a change in their approach, a change into their inquiries that they're asking you over the last, let's say, 5-10 years?
Gradually, and I would say more especially in the last year. Gradually more wanting more spiritual awareness, metaphysical insight, and getting a little bit more outside of themselves and wanting to know how they can be more productive, more awake, more aware, and how to deal with the craziness of the world, especially in the past year, maybe year and a half. I've seen more of that. Yes, Rob.
How is the other side taking these massive changes that are going on this side of the interdimensional wall?
I feel it's observed with a curious kind of, what are you guys doing?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, I guess I can see where you're going, but boy, we wish we could intervene and say, hello, there are other ways to do this. I feel we can have a violent birth or a nonviolent birth, and I still remain optimistic that we will choose the nonviolent path and become more awake and aware people. The other side observes with a curious eye, but they can't intervene in that sense. They can't step in.
Why can't they?
Well, everyone believes differently on that, Rob, but for me, the only way I feel that those on the other side, or ascended masters, whatever labels you want to put on them, can influence us is if we open to that higher self, that higher consciousness, and allow ourselves to be guided into new forms of thinking. Because the way we think now, it's like people always say, you can't do the same thing and expect a different response. And so if we change our thoughts, then our emotions follow that and our behaviors follow. And those on the other side, if we're open to learning from those who have gone before us, we can. It's just most of us aren't open to doing that. But I don't think they can physically step in and say, no, don't pull that trigger. I don't believe that.
Interesting. At these critical times here on this planet, on this plane, do the other people on the other side try to communicate more with those of us who are alive?
I believe yes. I believe that it's getting the volume on that side is being turned up a bit, and I do think that's in an effort to help us to wake up and have a peaceful transition. So yes, I would say it's louder now than it used to be. I myself am not a medium, don't claim to be, although lately I've had a little bit of that coming through. So I think the volume's turning up. Yes,
more than usual.
Yes, yes. Yes, I believe it is. And I believe the reason for that is to guide us, to help us open our minds. Yes.
When the other side wants to communicate through you, how do you feel inside? How do you know that somebody from the other side actually wants to communicate with the person in front of you, or the person on the telephone, or the person that sends you an email?
And in general, like I said, Rob, I'm not a medium, although there's a little bit of that coming in, but I don't call myself a medium because I cannot do it on command. However, when that happens, what it feels like is I start getting a sense of someone with me, a sense of presence, and then I may get a physical description on that person or a character trait, and then I start hearing, clairaudiently hearing something that has to do with that person's situation. It happened to me the other day. And I said to this woman, I said, why am I hearing a music box? What is that about? And she said, oh my God, my grandmother, who just passed away, gave me music boxes every day on my birthday.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's a validating thing for that person, but that's uncommon for me, although lately it's been happening more often. So yes, I do think the volume is turned up on that side to help us. Yeah.
Now, you're a clairvoyant. Is there a possibility that as a clairvoyant, you're going to be turning more and more into mediumship as well?
It's odd that you asked me that. Somebody said that to me the other day. You're probably going to be developing that skill. And maybe yes, maybe no. Is it possible? I'm open to the possibility. And as you know, Rob, unless I feel I can do it well, I won't do it.
All right, you and I have to take a commercial break, Ellen, with the news at the bottom of the hour. Please stand by. Exonation. My name is Rob McConnell. My very special guest this hour is a good friend, Ellen Hartwell. Her website is www.ellenhartwell.com. That's www.ellenhartwell.com. And Ellen and I will be back on the other side of this news break as we continue live from our studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, here in the X-Zone on the Talkstar Radio Network, X-Zone Broadcast Network, UK High Definition Radio, Euro High Definition Radio, and Star Cable and X-Zone TV. And when I come back, I will play for you the audio of that video we have up on YouTube that Ellen kind of alluded to during our last hour. It's called I Am Canadian, and I'm just going to be saying what's on my mind, and what I say has nothing to do or reflects any other opinion except my own. I'll be back on the other side of this break with Ellen. Don't go away.
Children, what's that sound? Everybody look what's going down.
Are you considering calling a psychic to read your situation? Then consider David Champion, a psychic medium for more than 20 years with thousands of readings under his belt. David Champion will make you feel comfortable. He has proven to be honest and accurate. He's a straight shooter. There's no guesswork. What he sees is what you get. While he is a medium, most of the calls focus on relationships, not only love, but work, school, neighbors, and more. Need help with finding a job and preparing for the interview? Are you dealing with people who are obstacles in your path? For more information, go to davidchampion.com, $1.50 per minute paid by credit card with a minimum of 30 minutes. For your reading with David Champion, call 1-877-702-8598. That's 1-877-702-8598. Now you can dial in to listen to the X-Zone radio show from anywhere in the world with Rob McConnell 24/7, 365 by dialing 213-401-0080. That's 213-401-0080. If you have a mobile phone or landline, the X-Zone radio show with Rob McConnell is now at your beck and call at 213-401-0080. That's 213-401-0080, 24/7, 365.
My name is Michael Telstar, Canada's leading mentalist from Toronto, Ontario.
Hi, my name is Splenda, and you're listening to my dad, Rob McConnell, on the X-Zone. This is Psychic Dorothy from St. Catharines, and you're listening to Rob McConnell.
Hello, my name is Holly Reeves, an astrologer from Astro For You, and you're listening to Canada's #1 paranormal radio show, The X Zone, with Rob McConnell.
Welcome to The X Zone, a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality. Now, here's your host, Rob McConnell.
I am in the minority in Calgary, Vancouver, Toronto, and every casino in this country. I was born in the 40s, 50s, or 60s, yet I am somehow responsible for some First Nations people being screwed out of their land in the 1700s. I pay import tax on cars made in Ontario. I am allowed to skydive and smoke, but not allowed to drive without a seatbelt. All the money I make until mid-July must go to paying taxes. I live and work among people who believe Americans are ignorant. These are the same people who cannot name their own country's new territory. Although I am sometimes forced to live on hamburgers and don't have a pot to piss in, I sleep well knowing that my taxes help purchase a nice six-figure home in Vancouver for some unskilled refugee. Although they are unpatriotic and constantly try to separate, Quebec still provides most of my nation's prime ministers. 95% of my nation's international conflicts are over fish. I'm supposed to call black people African Canadians, though I'm sure none of them have ever been to Africa for that matter. I'm being told that paying a 200% tax on alcohol is fair. I'm also being told that the same tax on gasoline is also fair. Even if I have no idea what happened to that old rifle my grandfather gave me when I was 14, I will be considered a criminal if I don't register it. I'm being told that spending $15 billion to promote French language in the rest of Canada is fair when the province of Quebec doesn't support or even recognize the English language. Being told that paying $1 million for 3 stripes, the voice of fire painting in Ottawa by the National Art Gallery, was a good purchase, even though 99% of this country didn't want it or will ever see it. When I look at my pension and realize that I take home a third of what I actually make, all I can do is say, oh well, at least we have better health care than the USA. I must bail out big corporations who drive their businesses into the ground and say, yeah, that's okay. And when they move out all their manufacturing plants and jobs to a third world country, I must also say, no problem. I must fork over my portion of the $11.5 million to show the Queen of England and her family a good time visiting in my country, even though I can't afford to visit the province next to me. My national anthem has versions in both official languages. Canada is the highest taxed nation in North America, the biggest military buffer for the United States, and the #1 destination for fleeing terrorists. The Lord's Prayer is not allowed in our schools anymore because of other religions who choose to move here to Canada. I am an angry white person. I am one pissed off taxpayer who is broke. My name is Rob McConnell, and I am Canadian.
Now ask me how I really feel.
Yeah, describe that. I mean, tell me your true feelings on this, Rob, would you?
Well, you know what? I think it's rather ironic that so many people today keep everything bottled up inside of them. If more people were just to let it out, like how long can people be bullied around? Look what's happening in Libya. Look what's happening in Egypt. Look what's happening in Tunisia, Yemen, because of the political and the governmental stress that these people are on. Enough is enough, and we see this happening right over here in the United States and Canada.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and I agree, and I'm surprised, frankly. I thought there would have been much more civil unrest in your country and mine by now.
I think it's coming. I really
I
believe
do
it's
too.
coming.
I do too. Yeah.